A lot of people ask me, do you want to do this for a living? Do you want to uh, do YouTube for a living, work with Bibles for a living? I'm thinking, yes. I've done so many different jobs. I've potted plants. I've done landscaping. At one time, I even worked at a shoe recycling place, but it was just soul destroying. Hey guys, welcome to the Everything Bibles Show. Haha, you like that? Okay, so today we're going to talk about something really, really heavy. Something really weighty. We're going to talk about paperweight. And I'm not talking about a paperweight. I'm talking about GSM. And I'm going to talk about the weight of paper and what it means. So what does it mean? All right. So the first thing you want to talk about is what does GSM mean? So you hear a lot of people in Bible groups talk about the GSM of the paper. Well, that's grams per square meter, and that is a measure of density. Okay, so the best way I can describe it is a sheet of steel would be really dense. Okay, there's no voids in it. It's dense. Also, a sheet of glass is dense. It's completely dense. Both of them are completely dense. But they both have two different types of opacity. And a lot of times the analogy that I use is like just a really thin sheer piece of cloth. It has voids, or even a sponge. Just imagine a sponge that you have in your kitchen. It's not dense. Like, it is not dense at all, but it's opaque. Okay, so and then like I said, a piece of glass or a piece of plastic, which is much more dense, because of what it's made of. It doesn't translate to opacity all the time. Now, when we're talking about paper can only be made with certain materials. Okay, so when we're talking about paper, GSM does somewhat translate to opacity, because you have to make paper out of similar materials. So once you start getting certain densities, it's going to be hard to see through that density. Okay, so but the higher the quality materials, that would translate more toward the higher quality materials will be more opaque. Okay, so you could get away with a lower GSM with higher quality materials and achieve a similar opacity as if you had to run your GSM really high if the paper's made with lower quality materials. I hope that's everybody's tracking with me. Okay, so to kind of give you an example, if you own a Thompson Chain Reference Bible, a TCR, Kirkbride has been known to produce excellent Bibles. These Thompson Chain Bibles, they're packed full of material, information, references, chains. It's amazing. And they fit hundreds more pages because their paper is so thin. They're able to put that much information into a more portable and usable package. The way they do that is by using a 20 GSM paper. Okay, so the editions that I've seen use a 20 GSM paper, and they have a little bit of ghosting, but you're talking almost half the density of your typical Bible paper, or at least only 2/3 the density. of your typical Bible paper. So the materials, if the density is going to be really low, their materials have to be premium materials. So, and the way you can tell whether a Bible has really, really good paper is 50 years down the road. When you open it up, it doesn't have discoloring. It doesn't have, areas where it's wanting to come apart. You don't have those fatigue issues. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea. You can produce a paper like Thompson Chain Reference Bibles that are that have a 20 GSM height, which is going to, being that it's not as dense, they can make it thinner. Okay, and also GSM and opacity. None of that translates to thickness either. So we can have some Bible papers that are 36 GSM that are this thick, not literally, but they'll be this thick, and then some that are 36 GSM that'll be that thick. So density and thinness are not always, they don't always run together either. So, and I'm going to show some Bibles here and give you guys a chance to see some differences in some Bibles, so you'll kind of maybe be more informed. Okay, so anyway, so let's look at a few different options. All right, so let's look at a couple of Bibles really quickly. This is the side column reference, NASB, from Foundation Publications. This was a 2002 printing, specifically the Judge, and it is printed on a 39 GSM French milled paper. You can see the ghosting is super, super minimal, and it's just really an amazing, amazing edition. All right, so I'm going to slide this over, and we're going to compare some other Bibles with it. Next, I want to show you guys the Lego printing of the Legacy. Here, side by side, you can see the Legacy is a smaller text. You have 11-point font versus the 9, but this is a 36 GSM paper, and the opacity is excellent on the Lego paper. It's really great. You can see in the margins there's a little bit of ghosting. Compare the margins over here. It's lighter. I mean, it's a little darker, a little more ghosting than the Judge, obviously. But it's still an excellent paper. Excellent paper. We get to some of the older printings from Crossway. And that's really, I'm just grabbing what I had close. This is the 2008 printing of the single column reference Bible. So it's about like the ESV equivalent of the Judge layout. Especially the 08 printing is a US printing, the best paper they ever did with it. And you can see more ghosting in this edition than in the Judge. Not exactly sure the GSM, the weight of this paper, but it has a good thickness. So the other editions of this layout are much thinner. So I know that the thickness is good. I'm pretty sure the density is good. So maybe the quality of the materials might be a little lower, which is affecting the opacity. I would guess this is probably around a 38 GSM paper. And that's the same as the next Bible, which is the Godfather. It's the heirloom reference. You can see it's a superior paper as well. It looks amazing, reads amazing, but it does have a little bit more ghosting than the Judge. All right. Next, let's look at some of the most recent productions. Here is the Thomas Nelson Premier Collection Edition. This is the single column reference edition, and it has a 36 GSM paper, as well as a dark printing. You can tell it's considerably darker, and but the ghosting is probably a little bit more than some of the earlier Crossway editions, but it's still a 36 GSM paper, and it's a really nice paper. You do have some ghosting, but like I said, it is a darker printing. So the darker you have your printing, the more it's going to translate to the other side of the page. So by comparison, I'm going to show you the latest preaching Bible from Crossway, which is kind of turned into one of my favorite reading Bibles. It also has a 36 GSM paper, but you can kind of tell that the opacity is a little bit, it's not really an opacity issue because the opacity is probably the same between these two, but the printing is lighter in the preaching Bible versus the single column reference from Thomas Nelson. So even though these are very similar paper, you have less ghosting in the preaching Bible because the print is not as dark or as thick. So that's going to translate into ghosting. But both of them have 36 GSM paper, and neither one of them really compare with the Judge. All right. Next, we're going to bring in some more heavy hitters. So here is the NASB reader from R.L. Allen, and this is the latest Youngblood production. This is also a 36 GSM paper, and it is really nice. Now it's not line matched, so you're going to have a little more ghosting between the text, but it's still a premium paper and it feels excellent. It has a great feel, it has a great density and a great thickness, so it's a great paper. Another also produced by Youngblood, same paper. This is the Quintel Credo edition. It probably has a little less ghosting because it is line matched. So you can see there's a lot of decisions that the publishers make that will affect ghosting much more than just paper density. So it's paper density and quality are great, but depending on whether you do line matching, whether you do a darker, thicker, thinner print, a lot of those things affect the amount of ghosting and readability. So getting down to the end of the line, I do want to show you this. This is a journaling Bible. This is the Crossway ESV journaling edition, and this is a much thicker paper, much denser paper, probably over 40 GSM paper. Just to kind of give an example of higher density doesn't always mean opacity. You'll have the higher density here, but you can tell it has ghosting. It has some ghosting because even though it's very dense, it is a lower quality material. You can tell by the color of the paper, but it is a thicker paper. This is just the New Testament, and it's over 1 inch thick. So that'll tell you that it's definitely a more dense paper. You also get into the readers editions, like the 6-volume readers edition from Crossway, and it's in the 60 GSMs. You also have the Preacher's Bible from Steadfast. It's a 65 GSM paper, much more dense. So even though it's the same thickness as the ESV Study Bible, it's going to weigh almost double what the ESV Study Bible does because it's way more dense. The ESV Study Bible has a 30 GSM paper, where the Preacher's Bible has a 65 GSM paper. All right, now we have the Omega. The Omega is also a Youngblood binding, printing, and bound, but it's on a 28 GSM paper, so you can tell it has a little higher amount of ghosting, but you get a much thinner edition because the 28 GSM paper, it's a less dense paper. It can be a thinner paper. This right here is a great Bible to me. I don't have to have a super thick Bible. This is more portable, so some folks, they might rather have this than even the Judge because it's half the weight, half the size, and you still have this wide footprint with a 10-point font, and it's very readable. This 28 GSM paper is really exceptional. All right, so that's it, really. There's the 39 GSM French mill paper from the Judge compared with several very nice papers, and you can see it side by side on how they compare. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. for a nerd like me, I love seeing cool stuff like that, and I hope you learned a little something about GSM, the density, and the paper thickness and opacity. All those things help with readability. So I hope that you learned some stuff, or that you refreshed on some stuff, and that helps you in some way. Also, last thing I want to tell you guys, coming up on March the 21st, that marks 1 year since the creation of the Everything Bibles Facebook group. So, hooray! It's our birthday party. To celebrate, we're going to be giving away 5 Bibles. 5 Bibles on Thursday. 5 Bibles on the 21st, just that day. And I'll be making a video that day to show you which Bibles they are, but we'll be giving 5 courtesy of our friends at Zondervan. And it's just excellent. It's great that we have this awesome group, and it's growing, and people are enjoying it. And we just want to celebrate. So we want to reward our members with this special giveaway. So like I said, we're going to be giving away 5 editions on Thursday. I will let you know what they are. Just pay attention to the announcements section of the group, as well as any pictures you might see posted throughout the group. So anyway, I'm excited about it. Hope you're excited about it. And just stay tuned. If you see us post something in the announcement section, be sure to check it out so you'll make sure that you're eligible for the giveaways. So again, we're giving away 5 Bibles just on Thursday. That's not counting our giveaway Bibles for the end of the month from 119-105 Bibles Ray Delgado donated. So thank you guys again for watching, and God bless.